Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Sorreo, and you are watching Around the Peninsula. And joining me today from the Palos Verdes Chamber of Commerce is the president and CEO, Miss Eileen Hupp. Eileen, we are here to talk Citizen of the Year. It's happening already.
Yes, it is, Maria. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Now, all year, I know the Chamber works very hard to select the honorees. There are 3 this year, so tell us about them.
Yes, we have a really interesting process where all of the honorees have been nominated by and selected by committees of Chamber members. Okay. There's a nomination form, and the committee sits down and deliberates and reviews all the nominations and then makes their final recommendation for selection to our Chamber Board of Directors.
Okay. And I know that there are 3 different categories this year. Tell us about the categories.
Yes. The first award is the Outstanding Community Service Organization, which goes to a nonprofit organization that is all volunteer. Okay. And this year, the honoree is, of course, the Special Children's League, and we're very excited to shine a light on the incredible work that this group of women does in our community. Our second award is for an outstanding nonprofit organization, and this year the Chamber has selected the Volunteer Center of the South Bay, again, for their many years of work in the community and really helping to support so many other nonprofits with volunteer service. Right. And finally, the Citizen of the Year Award this year is going to Steve and Helene Lopes, and the criteria for that award, Maria, is really looking at individuals, or perhaps a couple in this case, who have inspired others in the community to give more of themselves, whether it's volunteer time, whether it is leadership, whether it is philanthropic gifts, whatever kind of support they feel comfortable giving. Because as you know, this is a very philanthropic community. And Steve and Helene have given so much to a large number of organizations throughout the South Bay, which of course you will hear from when you speak to them directly.
Yes, yes, and really 3 very worthy organizations and people as we get to meet that just give back to this community, and it's so important to give back.
Absolutely. You know, I've said over the years to you many times that being a 30-year resident of the community, I think we have 3 values that transcend almost everyone who lives here. It's family, it's education, and it's philanthropy. Right. And from our high school students, in fact, even our middle school students who get involved in scouting or community service clubs at the high school, our Rotarians, our Kiwanians, so many members in our community volunteer their time, their talents, in some cases monetary gifts, to support nonprofits throughout the Los Angeles area. And so this year we have once again titled our event A Passion for Giving, because there truly is a passion for giving in the Palos Verdes community, and I'm so proud to be a part of that.
Well, and you definitely do a great job every year. So let's meet the honorees for 2015.
We do a number of things, and it's not easy to say in one sentence, but we have about 10 different programs, and our main focus is really youth. We try to do more of our programs that work with youth or that provide for youth than anything else. We have Adopt a Family, we have Operation Teddy Bear, Food for Kids, and we have a teen involvement program where we train teens to be leaders. The largest program is the court-referred community service program, and this is where the courts send us people to do community service, to work for nonprofits in lieu of a fine. And the nonprofits benefit from the work, and the people who do it get a wonderful insight into what the nonprofit sector is all about. And some of them are even hired. Operation Teddy Bear. Last year we gave 5,600 filled backpacks filled with literacy materials, and we gave these to first graders in Title I schools in the most underserved areas. Every Friday during the school year we deliver food to, I think we're right now at 7 schools, and we deliver food to these schools in bags, and then the principal schools determine the families most in need, and they are sent home for those families on the weekend. Wonderful program. Wonderful program. The kids are hungry in school, and this helps them not have to come to school hungry on Monday morning. They can come ready to learn. We've had kids in that program who actually would steal food from the cafeteria. And when we found that out, we knew that we looked into it, and they were not getting enough food at home. And some of them would even take the ketchup and mustard packets, stuff them in their pockets so they'd have food to eat at home. We don't think of this in America, but it is right at our doorstep. The Volunteer Center existed before I came. When I came, we had a budget of 130-some thousand, almost 140,000. And with the help of many wonderful people, board members, staff, we've been able to increase it to just under $2 million operating every year. So it's a lot of fundraising to do. How did I do it? Well, after raising 4 sons, and my husband and I raised 4 sons, when the youngest graduated from high school, I thought, well, I should see what the real world is like. I had done a lot of volunteering, and I loved it. A friend said one day, I saw something in the paper that you would really, it would be so good for you. It's head of the Volunteer Center. And so I did apply. There were 70-some applicants, and I was chosen, and that is 28 years ago. In a month, it'll be 29 years. Wonderful 29 years. I was so fortunate. You know, every day there's something rewarding. Every day. It's wonderful to see some of the court-referred clients do a good job volunteering and then be hired. Maybe they didn't have a job, and then be hired by the nonprofit. You know, when I see the teens work with less fortunate youth, young kids, oh my. I guess also we give scholarships, and I think maybe that's one of the highlights. These go to kids who have overcome difficulties in their lives, real big difficulties, adversities, and the stories that some of these kids tell, and still may end up with an A average, although grades are not the prime thing that we give the scholarships for. It's overcoming obstacles in their lives.
I mean, you have seen this grow in 29 years unbelievably then.
Yes, that's true. I've had wonderful staff, wonderful board, lots of community support, people who support us financially, people who volunteer. Oh, I have been so fortunate. I have been able to find the ideal work, and I have enjoyed it more than I can say. I would like to thank the Chamber for much more than giving the Volunteer Center this award, although we are very, very, very pleased to receive the award. It means so much to us. The Chamber has provided the backdrop, has provided the opportunity to meet the community and to meet people in the community who have supported the Volunteer Center. It's given us a chance to tell the community through the Chamber, to tell the community about the Volunteer Center, and this in turn not only brings volunteers, but it helps with financial support as well. I think the Chamber does a phenomenal job, and to me, it is one of my favorite nonprofits.
The Special Children's League is a small group of about 36 women, and we work very closely together to primarily put on one benefit a year. And it's at that annual benefit that we take sponsorships and donations, and where we make our primary funds. And those funds, a large portion of them go to UCP LA, United Cerebral Palsy Los Angeles. And we've had a partnership partnership with them since approximately 1957. So they receive a large portion of our funds, and then in recent years, we've branched out to try to do as much as we can for the community around us. So that we're also giving funding to Palos Verdes Unified School District. One organization that we've been funding for quite a long time is Pediatric Therapy Network's Camp Escapades. And this year we branched out to a few additional organizations in the community.
You know, I know this group started with a very personal story of a group of women that got together to support somebody that had cerebral palsy. Tell us that story.
Well, the one woman in Palos Verdes whose son was born with cerebral palsy, her friends banded together to try to give her moral support. And through that moral support, that is how Special Children's League became into existence. It started off small and it has remained small. And at that point in time, they were working with a home facility situation in San Pedro. Within our group, we have several members who do have children with special needs. And I think for us, that helps us understand what families and parents and even the kids themselves are going through a little bit better. And so we try to get our name out there as much as possible, but being a small group, you know, it's tougher. Recently, we are working with Palos Verdes Unified School District, trying to help them develop a social skills behavioral program. They currently have a variety of programs that they do during the lunchtime for children with special needs and as well as typical kids. So our goal right now is a program that they are doing the training for, and that they will then bring into the schools. We're starting off at the high school level, and it should kind of filter down and around and encompass all the different ages. This year we were fortunate enough to have raised enough funds that we were able to branch out and support a few other organizations, one of which we got involved with the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation and their universally accessible baseball field that they are doing with the Miracle League. And they had their dedication a few weeks ago, which one of our members was able to attend. And the kids just looked like they had such a fabulous time. We look for projects in which it's something that kids or adults can do that they're not going to get a chance otherwise to do. Right. And this accessible field is for both children and adults, and it's going to be a complete, they're going to have league play just as if it was a typical kids baseball program. The kids hit off the tee and run the bases, and there's a mentor there to help them with their the wheelchair or whatever they have to get around the bases. And that's the kind of program that we do want to support. We also started giving some funds to Golden Heart Ranch, which is located in Hermosa Beach. And they do programs for children and young adults. They have a social skills program in which the kids learn gardening and how to cook. They have a track club. And they also have just recently purchased property in Agora to do basically a home kind of situation for young adults. I mean, so many in our community now are transitioning that 22, 23, where do we go from here? What do we do? And this is basically a live away from home for young adults. So they're working on that project, which will be wonderful when it starts up. And then we were also able to donate to Camp Paivica, which is one of the leading sleepaway camps in Los Angeles. And they operate camps year-round. And Ability First is involved with Camp Paivica. I believe they run it. And They have programs in the winter, skiing, etc. So again, it's giving people a chance to do something that they might not ever think that they could.
I grew up in a very small town in Nevada called Winnemucca, Nevada, and I went to college in Oregon at a place called Linfield College. And at Linfield, I played football there. One of my roommates was from Palos Verdes and grew up here in Palos Verdes and went to Marist High School. And immediately after graduation, I moved to Southern California, and actually the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 years in Southern California, I was living all over the place, but we played softball at Wilson Park every Tuesday night. And I played with a bunch of guys that had gone to Marist High School and then got off to college and come back and were beginning to work. And Tuesday nights was our softball night, and Lamppost Pizza was our sponsor. And so I didn't know anything about Palos Verdes except, when I came to Los Angeles, my college roommate was from Palos Verdes, and so I knew about it. Helene and I worked at USC together during that time when I first came to LA, and we were colleagues for probably 6 or 7 years, and then, she begged me to date her.
Of course.
Well, we're gonna let him think that.
That's right.
Of course.
And so we started dating and got married, and at that time we were living in Westchester over by Loyola Marymount, and it was interesting because we had our first daughter Jennifer, who's now 22, and we started talking about where we would live and raise our family, and I said, well, we should look at Palos Verdes. And Helene was born and raised on the west side of LA, in West LA with her mom. Her mom still lives there, and she didn't know much about Palos Verdes except Marineland. So anyway, long story short, we looked up here in Palos Verdes, and we found a great home near Peninsula High School, our first home up here, and we moved here right after our son Matt was born, and he's now 20 years old. So we've been on the Peninsula for 20 years.
I got a little involved in the PTA, and Jennifer went to Silver Spur, and the library said, you need volunteers, and the librarian, Janice, was wonderful. And so I said, okay, and I absolutely love that, and I love the books, and then we need somebody for this, and we need somebody for that. Can you be a room parent? Outdoor science camp. And it was really nice to do things with my kids. So most of my volunteer efforts went towards things that my children were already in. So then as Matt started to play sports, whether it was PBBA, he would coach and I'd be on the board. PB Little League, he'd be on the board, he would coach, I'd be on the board. Youth football, and that grew into Jennifer going to Norris and taking acting, and that was wonderful for her. So I thought, well, I'll take pictures because I know how to do that. I knew what I couldn't do. I knew I couldn't do decor, so I told them, don't give me that. And certain things I was not going to be able to do, but those. And so it always involved our children. Then I went to Vistas for Children, which actually was a little different, but it allowed our children to actually participate as well as help the community. And we knew that if we raised this money at this fashion show or this golf tournament, then we were going to go hand a check to the blind or to one of the charities that was in the area. And I think that felt really good because, again, we were giving back to our community. So that was great. So that's pretty much how. And then he got involved in the Ed Foundation.
And it's interesting because whatever we did, and whatever we do today, I think we still do it as a team. I remember back to our Little League days in PV Little League, and I was a coach, and Helene, we were both on the board, and they asked who should be the president, and it turned out to be Helene. And so all of my buddies, gave me a hard time and said, "Well, Steve, you're the first lady." And I said, "Well, but we had a great time, and we were always involved with our kids." And for me, it morphed into Vistas for Children, and then I became involved in the Peninsula Education Foundation. Was on the board there for 8 years, and again, a lot of it centered around our kids and our family and the community and how we could make it better. And we do things as a team.
There were groups that I was in that I would say, I'm going to this. We won't have dinner tonight, I'll be going here. And if it separated our family, then it wasn't that's not really what we wanted. There were enough opportunities that we could, even with National Charity League, as much as he wasn't involved, they had the rafting trip with the daughters and they did things. So, we needed that family time. If it took away from that, then it's not very rewarding anymore.
Yeah, I think the Ed Foundation was a great example of that. It really is a community group where families are involved. the things that we did and the things that we were meant and really that we represent were families and education. And I'm a strong believer in education, as is Helene, and we both have advanced degrees, and we just understand the value of that and how it unleashes lots of opportunities for young people, and just feel it's really important, and that was part of that. I've been in the athletic department at USC for 30 years. And Helene was an athletic trainer there for 23 years before she stopped working full-time, as she mentioned, when our daughter was 5 years old. And so we have great friends, and we knew a lot. We socialized together. We were young at the time. We're not young anymore, but we were young at the time, and we just hung out together with a group of people that were like us, young people working in athletics. And it was funny. We were in New York City when we made the decision to kind of officially date, and we came back to LA, and it was a little bit awkward because we were, so is this really happening?
What do we do? Nobody will know the difference.
So we kept it really quiet. I mean, only our few really closest friends that we socialized with kind of knew it. And I broke the news to my boss one day, and he was kind of a curmudgeon and really a wonderful mentor to me, but he was old school a little bit. And I said, I'm getting married. And he said, I didn't know you were dating anyone. And I said, well, I've kind of kept it quiet. And then I told him who it was, and he couldn't believe it, that we had kept it quiet. So it was great. And our friends at USC are like family. It is like a family there too. So it's really a great place to be. Our daughter and our son started at USC, literally. They're both there now. Jennifer's a senior and Matt's a junior. And they literally started when they were 6 weeks old, I think.
Yeah, they went to daycare.
In daycare there.
There was daycare on campus, and I could go see my kids whenever I needed to.
Yeah.
And if it was 6 o'clock and they were going to close, then the ladies would come on over and bring them over to the training room, and they would play with all the athletes. College environment's pretty neat for little kids because the athletes love them. They go, oh, can we babysit them tonight? Do you have a banquet to go to? What do you need? And they would do that, and it was really, really nice.
It's awesome though. We see former athletes all the time. There's one particular women's volleyball player who lives in Manhattan Beach, and we run into her. We've run into her with our kids sometimes, and she gives the kids the biggest hug, and I was your first babysitter, and she was one of their first babysitters, because if we had to work late or Helene was doing something or we had a banquet to go to, the student athletes kind of loved hanging out with our kids, and so they literally have grown up there, and so to have them there now, and both having great experiences at USC, we couldn't be happier. I mean, I am so lucky, and I don't even know how to describe it. It's a phenomenal place to be. Every day I feel blessed to be there, and it's a great family, and it's just a unique place. We were very fortunate, and the people we work with. I tell people all the time, my job isn't really a job; it's a lifestyle, because you sort of have to live it. And we have 21 sports and 600 student athletes, and the men's water polo team is just as important as the men's football team, and the women's tennis team is just as important as the lacrosse team, and so they play at the highest level in all those sports, and they compete for national championships, and that's the expectations there, and that's what makes it a beautiful place. I mean, we've won 123 national championships, and there aren't many schools that combine the athletic competition and success with great academic institution in this country. So it's unique from that standpoint. So it's fantastic.
Well, one of the things he does as an administrator for some of the sports is that if an athlete has a problem, be it grades or girlfriend,
they never have
boyfriend.
grade problems, do they?
Well, they go away, but they're good. No, you're good. But no, I'm just saying that he helps them, and so he has a chance to have an impact on a lot of these kids' lives, and to support them. At some point, there's only so much you can do, but you try to give them a chance. And they are making a transition. Their first time they're away from home, and I felt that more as an athletic trainer, because I would get them when they're hurt, and they would sit there and talk to me about all their problems, because it's a lot easier to do then when you're not playing. But he will also do the same, and it might be something a little different, but you're there for them to help them before anything else, and I think it's a very rewarding experience. I mean, I was raised a diehard Bruin, and I'll tell you, my Bruin friends are wonderful. So I'm there, but I was at SC. It took a couple years to get that thing down, but I'll tell you, when I finally did it, and it was really tough. They just kind of, I want to say that's, kind of suck you in. That Trojan family thing is real, and it's just wonderful. So it's been good to us.
Yeah. Well, I tell people all the time, and it's funny because the longer you're here, the more you realize that many of the people are multiple generations have never left here. Right. We're outliers. We came in after we were married, but there's no better place to live, I'm convinced, anywhere in the country. We have a great combination of weather and beauty.
Golf.
Community is a great community. We're just so fortunate. It's a secret that people don't. People in Los Angeles still don't know a lot about Palos Verdes. When we say I live in Palos Verdes, it's like, oh my God, that must take a long time to get to work. Well, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It does, but it doesn't. But that's why you love it here, is that it does feel like you're away from the city in many ways. And we have, unbelievable friends that we have met here, and they will be our friends for life. They will be our kids' friends for life.
Yeah.
And so we're here.
And we don't want to leave them if we don't have to.
Right. So it's just a beautiful place. We loved it.
Eileen, it's always such a thrill for me to be able to sit down and talk to people and meet people that you all select for these awards, because they're so humbled and they're so giving, and it's just amazing to find these people in our community, really.
Absolutely, and the Chamber of Commerce is thrilled to be able to honor these three outstanding organizations and individuals.
Very true, very true. And of course, you really couldn't do this without your sponsorship. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. An event of this magnitude, as we all well know, takes many volunteers, and so we have a lot of chamber members who are working on this, as well as several major sponsors. We're very excited to have Terranea Resort as our presenting sponsor once again for this event, and the event will be at Terranea. Okay. So we really are looking forward to just a very special evening, of course. And then we also very much appreciate the sponsorship of Torrance Memorial Medical Center and PDM LLP, who is a certified public accounting firm.
Very nice. Very good. Well, the event will be Friday, October 23rd at the Terranea Resort. How can people get tickets and have fun with us? Because we always have a really good time.
We do. We have, of course, a fabulous band for dancing after all the awards.
Very nice.
So the public is very much invited to this ticketed event. And again, we want to fill the room. We can accommodate about 300 people. And so we want to make this a community-wide celebration. If you are interested in purchasing tickets, you can contact the Palos Verdes Peninsula Chamber of Commerce on our website, our phone number. Call in. You can register online to purchase your tickets. And you are also welcome to place an ad in the tribute program as well if you want to send special congratulations to any of our honorees.
And the phone number to the chamber is?
310-377-8111.
And the website is?
PalosVerdesChamber.com.
We got you covered. All right. Thank you so much for watching today, Eileen. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you at the Citizen of the Year.